that is Transcom House, where my colleague Brenda Kerubo is standing by. And of course, Brenda, quite a divisive topic of discussion we are having today. And majority of the commuters that Malika Kazia did speak to, they are of the opinion that we do not need the bus rapid transit. On the other hand, the government is saying they want to decongest the city. And of course, all this plays into the public gallery, especially when it comes to us having a working central business district.
Good afternoon, Abby, of course, from the Ministry of Transport here in Community, Nairobi. The very first time we heard about the bus rapid transit system was back in 2012. In a bid to decongest Nairobi, cut air pollution, as well as deal with a persistent traffic, the government, through the Ministry of Transport, of course, and the Kenya National Highways Authority, decided to introduce the system on a major road. This is, of course, the major road that links Jomo Kenyatta International Airport to the city center and all the way to Uthiru. Now, of course, this is just one of the examples, and they did say some of the characteristics of the bus rapid transit system include the vehicles will be very different. The buses that will be plying these specific routes will be very different. Unlike the traditional buses that we have now, the buses will be bigger. For instance, the floor space for the buses will be a lot lower, which means it will make it easier for passengers to actually board the buses. Inside, the interior designs will be more spacious, that a person who has disability should be able to comfortably get into the bus and also fit. It will also have 2 doors. This will allow for emergency exits in terms of where an accident may occur. It will also have an aisle that is more spacious to allow people to move in and out, therefore allowing more traffic. And also they did talk about characteristics such as runway ways. This includes a specific lane or streets that is designated only for the buses. They also spoke about services that will be very different from the traditional setup, where the buses will be allowed to at least stop over after every 5 Passengers will no longer be allowed to give cash. They will be required, so for instance, to create transparency, they will be required to pay their fares automated in automated platforms such as mobile wallets like M-Pesa or Airtel Money. Also, some of the characteristics that were highlighted in this bus rapid transit system include factors such as integrating it with trains so that people can have options, so that not only will you be able to use the bus, but you will also have the options of getting into a train and actually go from one point to another. Now, Abby, I have been speaking to a couple of engineers in the last 1 or 2 hours or so, and they're saying though the government has good intentions when it comes to this specific project, yes, there are concerns around it being, is it feasible? I mean, in developed countries where the government says it has done its feasibility studies, for example, a road like the Mombasa Road has about 4 lanes. But when it comes to the interconnection point into town, it narrows all the way to 2 roads, or even 1 road. This, the engineer says, creates bottlenecks. In the developed world, we have at least a road that has 6 lanes. This allows for accommodation of traffic so that they can be able to get in much easier. They did also express concerns in terms of the feeder roads and also other roads that are connecting to the city center, saying that though the project has good intentions, its feasibility, making it practical, will be quite a challenge considering our infrastructure does not quite support the initiative. We did, of course,
Brenda, if you can hear me, allow me to just quickly interject. Brenda, if you can hear me, Brenda. Can you hear me, Brenda?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I can hear you, Abby. All
right, sorry to interrupt your train of thought, but really, the Ministry of Transport has backtracked on this car-free days. Perhaps, what is the way forward now? Is it clear that the government is still interested in implementing this BRT, or they've gone back to the drawing board?
Abby, I can hear you, but a bit vaguely from afar, but I could tell that you're speaking about the Ministry of Transport on the way forward in relation to this.
Correct.
The Ministry of Transport did highlight that it will bring in about 64 buses from South Africa later at the end of this month. This, of course, will be sort of a case studies through the mass transportation system that will be tested not only in Nairobi, but also satellite towns across Nairobi. Of course, this is to gauge whether the buses can actually work practically, if the lanes themselves can be designated. Do we need to create other lanes for it to make it possible? The government did say it will be a trial basis, and they have partnered with key Matatu associations so that they can foster this through a special vehicle purpose, so that they can see that this goes into fruition. They did, of course, also highlight the fact that our manufacturers, to put it bluntly, do not know how to make those buses locally, or rather assemble them locally. And they say that once they see dummies or even the buses when they come from South Africa, they should be able to get a true picture of exactly how the buses should look like. Abby?
And Brenda, if you can take my question one more time. Of course, majority of the public are still waiting to hear from the government. You remember they did put on hold the issue of the car-free days. Perhaps, do we know what is the current situation as of now? Are we expecting any more updates from the Cabinet Secretary in charge of transport?
Abby, it's quite noisy behind me. The buses are very loud. It's almost peak time. The buses are dropping off people and picking people from mostly civil servants around here. Let me just walk you through our integrated transport system that the government plans to roll out. That includes trains, buses, as well as keeping vehicles out of the city center, private vehicles for that matter. The Jubilee administration has made its ambitious project to construct major roads since 2013. Of course, you know, in Nairobi, in other countries, in other counties in the country, and they say that, you know, this is in a bid to address to decongest key cities in the country, as well as, you know, create a better atmosphere for investments to come in. You know what they say, if you build it, the investors will come. However, that said, the infrastructure at the moment does not quite meet exactly the target goals set out in the bus rapid transit system. We're talking about overcapacity that doesn't necessarily match the specific raw materials that are required to make this project feasible. This is, of course, in regard to engineers who I spoke to earlier.
All right, Brenda. Just stay with us on the line as we bring in Rajab Hassan, who is our correspondent from Tanzania, who will also be sharing with us some lessons in terms of how did Tanzania successfully implement this. Rajab, sijui kama unanipokea kwenye njia ya simu, unanipata?
Naam, Abiyagina, nakupata vizuri kabisa.
Asante. Now, Rajab, just walk us through the transport system in Tanzania and how does the BRT system work back home?
Abiyagina, mradi wa BRT tangu umeanza mpaka hivi sasa tunavyozungumza unafanikiwa kwa kiasi kikubwa. Japo mwanzo zilikuwa changamoto za wakazi wa jiji la Dar es Salaam kuweza kuelewa namna ya kutumia mabasi yale, lakini elimu imetolewa na vile vile mabasi yanafanya safari zake na kurahisisha kabisa usafiri katika jiji la Dar es Salaam. Na mabasi yameweza kusababisha kuwepo kwa ule muda ambao ulitumika mrefu kwa ajili ya kusafirisha watu kutoka kutoka saa 3 hadi dakika 45 kwa safari moja, mfano kutoka eneo la Mbezi nje kidogo ya jiji la Dar es Salaam hadi katikati ya jiji la Dar es Salaam eneo la Posta. Na mradi umeweza kutengeneza ajira kwa watu wengine na kampuni nyingine hasa za ukatishaji ushuru na vile vile kampuni nyingine ambazo zinahusika na masuala ya usafi pia. Kwa hiyo na masuala ya ulinzi pia. Kwa hiyo ni mradi ambao ulianza vizuri na unaendelea vizuri, na huu ikumbukwe ni mradi wa kwanza. Awamu ya kwanza, zitakuja awamu 2 ambazo zimesalia, na hizo awamu mbili zitakazokuja basi zitaiunganisha Dar es Salaam nzima kwa mfumo mzima wa BRT, mabasi yaendayo haraka. Kwa hiyo ni mfumo ambao mataifa ya Afrika Mashariki, Afrika ya Kati na hata Kenya pia inapaswa kujifunza kutokana na kila ambacho Tanzania imeweza kufikia mpaka hivi sasa.
And Rajab, how long did it take for the BRT system to be implemented in Tanzania? Iliwachukua muda gani?
Mradi haukuchukua muda mrefu, umechukua zaidi ya miaka miwili tu, na maandalizi yake yalianza kabla ya hapo, baada tu ya serikali ya Tanzania kupata pesa kutoka katika taasisi kubwa za fedha ulimwenguni, ndipo ukaanza mradi huo. Mradi ulichukua takribani mpaka kukamilika kwake haikupungua miaka miwili. Kwa hiyo ni mradi ambao ulifanyika kwa haraka zaidi.
Na tukimalizia, labda mwenzangu Rajab, ukiangalia upande wa kutii sheria kule Tanzania barabarani iko vipi?
Hapo awali ilikuwa ni changamoto kubwa. Kuna ajali za hapa na pale zilipatikana kutokana na watumiaji wa mabasi hayo kutokuwa na uelewa. Na si changamoto tu ilitokea katika matumizi ya barabara hizo, lakini vile vile pia namna ya ukatishaji wa tiketi ili kuabiri mabasi hayo ni wa kielektroniki, na ilikuwa ni vigumu sana, iliwawia vigumu sana wakazi wa jiji la Dar es Salaam kuweza kuishi mfumo mpya wa ukatishaji tiketi. Lakini hivi sasa ninavyozungumza kila kitu kiko safi kabisa, na barabara za BRT ni za BRT2. Hakuna mtumiaji mwingine, awe bodaboda ama gari nyingine, inaweza kupita katika njia zile ambazo ni maalum kwa ajili ya mabasi haya yanayoenda haraka mjini Dar es Salaam.
Na labda nikimalizia kabisa, Rajab, how much did it take to put up the BRT system in Tanzania? How much did the government spend? Kenya is planning to spend about 100 billion shillings. How much did Tanzania spend?
Ni mradi ambao ulikwenda kwa awamu. Kwa hiyo nashindwa kupata ile pesa taslimu ambayo ilitumika katika ujenzi wa mradi huo. Kwa hiyo nashindwa kuweka wazi, lakini nadhani ni mradi ambao ulichukua thamani ya kile ambacho tunakiona hivi sasa. Thamani ya mradi unaonekana hivi sasa unaendana na kile thamani ambazo zilitumika katika ujenzi wa barabara hizi. Na kwa bahati nzuri mpaka mradi unakamilika hakukuwa na harufu yoyote ya rushwa ama ubadhilifu wa fedha ambazo zilitumika katika ujenzi wa barabara hizo ama mfumo huo wa mabasi yaendayo haraka mjini Dar es Salaam. Naweza kusema kwamba thamani ya mradi na kile ambacho kinaonekana hivi sasa vinakwenda sawia.
Asante sana mwenzangu Rajab Hassan akizungumza nasi kwa njia ya simu, na tunashukuru sana kupata hizi ripoti kutoka kule Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, moja kwa moja. Asante sana. Well, that is my